Cool. Comfy? Happy?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
Wicked.
Let's start.
So, the usual question to start. I've still got my Centre Parks wristband here. Who is Wilco and a 19 built?
Who is Wilco and a 19 build? Yeah, I'm Wilco Lindner. I'm from the Netherlands. What I do is trying to set up a company building bikes like we see over there. Yeah, and the 19, that's maybe a cool story as we've seen here, but the 19 is from like way back when I was around 5 or 6 years, we started motocross. I started riding with the number 19. I kept that almost through all of my career, like doing the motocross. So when starting this, I needed to come up with a name for the company. And all of the bikes that I built before that were too, they had the number 19 on it.
Nice.
So what I did was, maybe it's cool to use the 19 as a company name. So that's where the 19 comes from. Yep, and I'm just trying to make this work. So I'm still right in the middle of it.
Yep.
So that's the cool part. And yeah, it's not easy, but I think I'm getting in the right way. So yep, and that's where the 19's from. I'm just trying to build bike, but what I really try is to make them like a bit of an art form, so that it's not your usual bike. And I know that's quite hard to do, like through Europe and things like that. But I think in the USA it would be just a bit easier, because there's like the street legal things, and it's quite different than from here. So it's a challenge, but I like the challenge.
Nice.
And I will try that, and I will like do everything for it to try and make this work. So yep, that's what I'm heading for, and yep, that's the story till.
Awesome.
So have you always come from a motorbike-based family? You know, you used to race motocross.
Completely.
Has that just always been something?
It's
that's in your
even
blood?
cool. Maybe there's a picture that's, I don't know how old I'm right here, but that's when I started riding bikes. I couldn't even walk. My dad bought me or built me a small Vespa. That's what they call it over here. Shortened the frame, added a span to it so that I can sit on it and
That's
ride
so
it. So
cute.
I just couldn't walk, but I could ride.
Nice.
Yep.
It's in
So
your
that's-
blood.
Yep, that's the
Yeah.
only thing that I know. So
And even at that early age, were you always set on wanting to build bikes? Because you've done a few things before this, didn't you?
quite a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
My mind always changes.
Yeah.
But I was like, also when I was young, I was always making things and doing things with my hands. And then the school part, I was really bad at that. Didn't find my flow in school. So when I dropped out of school, I just started doing my own things. I started filming photography. Sorry for the, it's just a bit. And from there on, it went really quickly. Like, I dropped out of school. I was still in school, but I started the filming part. I knew an MX rider, that's Antonio Caroli. It's a MXGP rider.
Mm-hmm.
And he was training like 5 miles from here. So I said, okay, I will move over to there. Don't go to school. I will film him. I edited it completely through the night.
Wow.
And then in the morning, he contacted me and he was like, can you come to the MXGP that's in Lierop? That's also not super far from here. And can you film me? So that was the first, yeah, I don't know what's the right word for it, but that was the first project that I could do for someone else.
Yeah.
Just by dropping out of school and doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And then I got picked up by a company that's called Petrolations in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
Also did some small documentaries for them. And then it just didn't feel right anymore. I had to do all this work for other people. I just couldn't do what I really liked to do.
Right.
So I had to change the plans of making the movies and the photography. And then I started to getting into CrossFit. I met someone. We started a gym. We built that up. Worked quite good. And then I think about a year and a half of 2 years back, we've just split up. And then the only thing that was left for me was like trying to build this. And that was what came to my mind. So I just started with the front forks, and then from there on moved on. And now it's become a bike, and yep, it's starting to become a business. So yeah.
And when you built the front forks to start with, so people that aren't watching it, it's an old school Springer style front fork, dual shock, very linkage driven, similar to like an old panhead, isn't it? Similar to like a 3840 panhead. Did you envisage building a bike off that, or did you only look at the fork? It was like, I'm going to build a fork.
The thing was, I just wanted to build a fork, and I told the idea to my dad and some other people, and they were like, "Don't do it; it won't work out." When people say to me like, "Don't do it," I will do it.
Yeah.
So that's how I work. So yeah, I started in the front fork. So yep, it is 2 shocks and 1 damper. That's all filled. And then I had the forks done, and I was like, okay, I think it's cool to build a bike from this fork. So I had the fork on the table, put on 2 wheels, and from there I just started to build a bike.
So did you build the fork for another bike, or was it purely just like, this is the perfect fork in my mind that I'm going to build?
I had an idea, like a 2-stroke engine is not used very much on building bikes. So I was doing some work in 2-strokes. I was helping someone with his business. That's also one that's EHR tuning, and from there on I just went into 2-strokes, and I was like, okay, maybe it's cool to build something like a really low dragster style or something and also tune the engine, so it needed to be very low, and so the fork started super low. I had a rim over here that was 17 inch. It was an MX style rim, so I measured it off of that, and that's why the bike is so completely low.
So low, it's very, very Bonneville, isn't it? It's very like salt flat race.
Exactly. And the suspension travel is just so small, and also the shocks are like internally stopped. The spindle that you see there is not the suspension that it has.
So, and then that was was it from building that fork, did you know you wanted to build it as a company, or was it like you built the fork and now the next step is?
I always had like in my mind, I've already done 2 builds, a smaller one and an Audi 125. That's a normal bike, still street legal, and I really enjoyed that. So being creative is always something that I really was, and like when the gym stopped, there was the opportunity to just go work for someone. It's not that I'm bad at that, but it's not really what I wanted to do. At that point, I've like put everything on paper, and I was like, okay, I think I'm able to push for this. Just do it. Like, now is your chance. And so I started building the bikes, and it's not that I wasn't completely unfamiliar with it, but from there on, I just...
And talk a little bit about your early builds, because pretty early on you had some success and recognition, didn't you?
Yep, that's true. That was actually the first build, or actually the first build is still on the table at my dad's place, because I started the build, and then also the welding, I needed to ask my dad to do the welding because I couldn't weld. And then there's 2 people involved, and they have both like, you should do this. And I was like, no, I want to do this. So that just marked up a bit or just clashed a bit. So that one is still on the table because I've quit it because I couldn't do it the way that I wanted to do it.
Right.
So, and then after that, I bought a small 2-stroke. It's exactly the same engine, but it's lighter. And that was street legal. So I bought that bike. I made a little flat tracker out of that, and that went like completely nuts over the internet. It was like over everywhere. So that was a cool thing to do, and a cool thing to see that it was going around the internet.
It's quite reaffirming as well when you see so many people loving what you've spent time in your garage doing. You know, because you've done it totally yourself, like very closed eyes, very blinkers on. I'm just going to do it my way, and then all of a sudden you see something online. It's just everyone loves it. Like that must be a great feeling, and it must be really reaffirming that you're onto something.
Exact, yeah, and I think that is what really lighted a small fire. Like, or maybe it's cool to just do this next to the gym and spend my hours that I'm free, like on building bikes, because I really like that. And then just what I've said before, like I've started that Audi 125 build. People around me were, I don't think that's working out. But then through the process, when they have seen the bike come together, they joined and wanted to help. But I was like, okay, I will do this on my own. I don't need any help. And that's what came out of it. So that was really cool. Yeah.
And it was all self-taught as well, wasn't it? So when you started that first build, and we need to mention the recognition that the build got as well, because it was no small feat. But what skills did you come into it with? What skills did you need to learn? And how did you learn those skills?
I think I've seen my dad build quite a lot of bikes that I've ridden myself, but I've never touched any tools because I was always doing the training part and not building and not inside of the garage. So I couldn't weld. I just did not know anything about the lathe or the mill. Never done that before. So my dad has just a small lathe in his workshop and a small mill that's more like a drill mill, something like that.
Okay.
So I started off on these things, and I've just asked him, but how does this thing work? And I just started and learned by error. I made a lot of mistakes, so yep. I had some pieces that went into the trash, and lots of them. Also with this one, so yeah. But it's all self-taught. And then the welding part, my dad is someone there is the stuff, just use it and see what happens.
Nice.
So I just used it, and it started to get better and better and better, and then
And then going back to that, the RD125, was it the RD125 that you entered into the Rolling Sands stream build-off?
No, that wasn't that one. That was actually just finished when he came up with it. It was around the time of COVID.
Okay.
So the gyms had to be closed, and the only thing we could do for our members was doing online workouts and things like that. So that is what we did. And then during the time that we were free, I did build a small pit bike size with a 2-stroke engine, and that was for the coronavirus bike builder from Wilco Lindner.
Nice.
And there were also quite some good attendees in the competition. And when I started the small bait, they were just I don't think that's working out. It's a mini bike that won't do well. And then during the build, it came together, and they were maybe this is making a chance. So, and then finally it took second place. So yeah, that was something that was okay, I think I'm able to push for this. So
that's a bit of affirmation that you're good at this now. You know, Rolling Sands, to anyone that's not in that space, Rolling Sands is ex-motocross, ex-GP rider, built arguably one of the biggest custom shops in motorbike building.
Exactly.
Primarily Harleys, and he does a bunch of 2-strokes. He done that wild 500cc 2-stroke GP bike a couple of years back, didn't he?
It was the aluminium one with the
exactly. It was mad.
So that was maybe a bit of an inspiration. And some people thought I was just building that and then in a smaller size because the wheels were gold at the start. But yeah, after paint it was just a bit different. But it was really cool. And then seeing all the reaction from the people over there, through the live streams and things like that. Yeah, that was something I was okay, this is pretty cool. It's my bike. It's over there, and and then finishing second. So
that's good.
Yeah,
big achievement.
Yeah. Yep.
And then what was the next bike after that? That was the point where you're right, I can do this. I can make a company out of this. Surely that must have been a massive affirmation of you're good at this. Yeah.
But at that time, I was still running the gym, so it's it didn't cross my mind immediately from okay, maybe this is a thing for me to just start building bikes. But it was still more of an hobby. But the recognition was out there. So and then COVID came to an end, and then we got back into the gym, and things didn't work out like before, and then we split up. And that was really the point for okay, what I'm going to do next. And I built at Fox, or started at Fox.
Yeah.
And from there, when I was okay, I'm going to switch this, commit myself to building bikes, and from there, we'll build something bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm right now, I'm completely in the middle of it. So,
yeah.
And all the struggles are still with it, and so it's not easy, but it's fun. Yeah.
And you've totally walked away from the gym. You don't have any partnership or anything in it now anymore.
No, completely split up.
No.
Yep.
No.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really something that you've built day in and day out. So, and then all of it suddenly just stepping out of it.
Yeah.
It was also quite hard personally. I really dip on how I've looked on things, and I think this is the bike that's over there. That's just something that have pushed me through, because I didn't feel well standing up in the morning, and I was just going into my garage doing what I liked, and from there on just building myself back up. Because
do you think it became a therapy for you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Pretty much, yeah. And then from on the therapy, there came the deadline from the from the build-off, from the dream build-off, because there was a deadline. And everyone was like, okay, you're not going to make that. I was like, I'm going to make that. I will make that.
Yeah.
So the days turn in from 8 hours to like 16 hours and completely nuts. And also after finishing this, I had to really take off like for a month or so and just getting back the energy because I've pushed so hard. And but that's just what I do. Also with the sporting part of with the CrossFit gym.
Yeah,
I was just always there, just always training and pushing myself and pushing members to become better. So
and although obviously the gym's not worked for you, and one thing we're always quite interested in is what makers have done beforehand. You must have still took a lot from running the CrossFit gym. You know, they're very community based. That like we remember at Blueprint Performance back home, CrossFit gym, and like, they're very community based. You've got a massive support network, so you must have taken a lot from that. But then you've gone into something that's just you in your garage.
Exactly.
How's that been different?
That was completely different, and that was like really hard on myself personally, because there were like quite a lot of members, and I stepped out, and normally I just talk like day in and day out to them, and then it all fell apart. So the social life just went from this to boom, me in the garage.
Yeah, you and a couple of spanners.
That was quite different. So I just really had to invent myself again, and I'm still doing that, like who I really am and things like that. But and then next to that, try to build a business. So it's quite hectic at the moment, and as I've said, I'm just really right in the thing of
the early stages
and trying to get this off the ground. So after quitting the gym, there was quite a big black gap where I just dropped in, and I was like, okay, what to do next? And also the sport, the CrossFit that I did myself, I just trained every day. Like now I'm probably training 2 or 3 times a week, and that's it. And before it was like every day, sometimes 2 times a day, and like really pushing that, and that's also quite a change. And it's hard for me to accept that I'm not that anymore. So the training part is just not the huge part of my life anymore. So it's not my work, and so I need to take a step back from that and enjoy the training part again.
Yeah,
because it's also
but
quite
you'll
hard.
be spending more time building bikes now. So before CrossFit was the big concentration. Do you think you're quite an obsessive character? Do you think you'd narrow into things? Yeah.
When I start something, for me it's like it's not 50%. I just want to go full guys.
100%.
And the ideas that just come to my mind are always like a bit crazy, and other people are like, no, I don't think that's going to work out. But in my mind, it's already done. I just need to do it. So and that takes time. So but you can. I think you can say that.
And how do you deal with that? With people saying, and again, it's something I'm always interested in, because I'm certainly very different to Kate in the way I look at people's opinions, shall we say. How do you deal with that when people say, oh no, it can't be done? Is that fuel to your fire, or does it bring you down?
That's a huge fuel to my fire,
And is that a more recent thing, or has that just always been the case?
I think that's always been the case. Yeah. Like also with when I did still motocross, there were like competition days, and then in the morning there would happen something that was like not in my not good for me, and then sometimes my dad said, okay, this won't work out today, and that was like the best day I've ever had. Because every time when people say that won't work out, I'm like, I think this will work out, so I'll just push hard and show that it's possible. And
you've been able to show that it is possible.
Exactly. So that's something that's also cool to me, and that this keeps me going. And
you've also had a lot of recognition that it's possible. You know, the Rolling Sands thing, that's huge rock recognition, and then this bike you built for the Tobacco Docks, the Bike Shed London, just this year.
That was the idea. And then that dream build off came through it. So
And you won Tobacco Docks?
No, Tobacco Dock was just a show, but the dream build off, that's the one that I did.
The dream build off you won. Sorry,
And with that came a Royal Enfield Meteor 350. So I'd won the bike, and through that I came in contact with the people from Royal Enfield. Spoken to them at the Bike Shed in London. From there on, the next project woke up, and I was like, okay, this is weird. It's my bike. They pay me to build that bike, and from there on, it's like,
that's cool.
And during that process, I was still rebuilding the shed, like my workspace and fixing things, making it better.
Yeah.
And then they asked me the question like, do you think it's possible to get this one of the Royal Enfield media done before EICMA in Milan? And that was like 4 months. And I said, I think it's possible. But the idea that we had spoken about was completely new for me, like the aluminium bodywork. I've never done that before. Like, this is a bit of aluminium work, but not in the size that we had discussed. And then I said, okay, I will just go for it. I will try. Didn't say I've never done it before. In my head was like, okay, I think I can do this. It's just, I will say, okay.
It's almost like say yes and work out later.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And then it took quite a time to get the bike over here. I think a month and a half. So I had only 2.5 months left. And I was like, how am I going to do this? I need to learn all of this. I had actually to, there was machinery that I didn't have. So I still needed to buy them. I had to wait for that. And in the end, I had only 2 months. And the project was, it was quite big. So I had like some small things done by another company, like the top triple clamp that was CNC'd, so that was just to speed up the process. But the complete rear fairing, it was such a huge job, and I had like never done it before. I didn't know how to do. And my dad was like, that won't work out. Yeah. He's a sheet metal guy. He's in car restoring and things like that. So, and painting of the cars, and so he knows what's needed for it.
Yeah.
But in my head, it was like, I think I can do that. So I just did it. Yeah. And then halfway through the 2 months, the people from Royal Enfield, they followed me through the stories on Instagram. And they were like, are you able to finish the bike before EICMA? I said, yes, I am. And I think I finished it the morning that we brought it to EICMA. Yep.
Wow.
So I was completely stressed out about that, but I've
done it.
Yep.
Yeah. You still made the deadline.
Exactly. Did some photo shoots with it and quite a bit of film work. So that's all for later when we get the bike onto the internet. So.
And then now we've got another Royal Enfield there.
Yep, that's my own project.
So did you find a bit of an affinity with the Royal Enfields? Is there something you really like about that engine, or is it just just happened?
It's something that just completely happened. When when we came back from the bikes at London, I took a month off and I like really spent time for myself. And through that time, I bought a Royal Enfield just to ride around town, and so happened to be a Royal Enfield. And it's a really old one because the shifting pattern is on the right side. So and it's not up down; it's also reversed. You can't shift to neutral. You need to do that by an apart lever and things like that. Yeah. But that's just, I really like old things. Yeah. Like not the modern techniques and things. Of course, it's cool to use them. Yeah. But I really like the old. Like also, this bike is just, there is so much work done by hand and done by a grinder instead of just using CNC machines. Yeah.
There's a simplicity in it, isn't there?
Exactly.
Simplicity. And I mean, you talked at the start about your bike being more of a form of art. It feels a little bit detached if it's all run by computers and, you know, various things. And I mean, I do a bit of work with a bike company, Untitled Motorcycle. Do a bit of work with them on electric bikes, and they've got a very nice, Adam there has a very nice outlook on, although it's electric and modern bikes he's building, he still wants it to be very simplistic. And I think that's what a lot of people seem to be looking for in a motorbike. You know, if you want something complex, buy a car. Whereas motorbikes are the stripped down, simple, the minimalist version of it. And it seems to work. You know, there's, other than yourself, the only person that I've seen build anything remotely that style would be Maxwell Hazan. Have you seen his work?
Yep. He shot me a message through.
Oh, did he?
Yes, yep. Nice. And that was completely weird. Like, I was like, how is this happening?
He's famous in there.
Yeah, like, all of the people like reacting to the Instagram post and then I was like, okay, who is this guy? No, that's not possible that he's shooting me a message. And I was like, towards my dad and my mom, like, look at this, it's going crazy. So yeah. And
checking if it's a fake account.
Yeah. that's something that drives me, like, okay, there is like recognition from people that are knowing what they are doing. So
and that you're on their radar.
Sorry?
That you're on their radar. You know, if someone as big as that is...
They've seen the work pass by and they taking the time to react on it. So that's...
And how was it? Was he very positive about your work?
Yep. Yeah. He's just a really nice guy. So good. But that's really cool.
Yeah, you always worry about that, don't you? That when people step in, especially such big names in the industry like that, like, are they going to be a bit negative about it? You know, are they? Do they view it as you're stepping on their turf, because he's very much been that guy for the longest time? But no, that's really good to hear. I love his work. I absolutely love his work. Kate, you were going to ask something there.
No, just it sounds like your parents are quite supportive of what you do. You know, your parents. Exactly, they've been behind you the whole way.
Yep. My dad is like somebody. He really knows a ton of stuff. So when I'm like completely down the drain, or like how I'm going to do this, I just ask his advice.
That's good.
And then with two people, it's just easier to come to and to a solution. So, and then my mom, she's like, she's just pushing everything, and also financial helping a lot. So
yeah, it's good to have that support.
That support,
and they believe in me. So
that's a good.
And my dad pushes me quite a lot. So he isn't someone that is saying like, okay, you're doing really good. He's like, okay. So like, down to earth, and then and then in the end, he's like telling to everyone, look what my son built. So
he just doesn't tell you. He just doesn't tell you. Tells all his friends how proud he is. And
number one fan.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great.
That's really cool.
And how about the rest of the sort of support network and community? You know, you talked about when you walked away from the CrossFit side of things, that community just dropped. Have you found a community of bike builders? How have you found them on Instagram, online, or is there other local people that, you know, what is that community like for you now?
Like locally over here, like the bike building thing in the Netherlands is really small. There was Arjan van der Boom, but he's doing like more standard things like with BMW and street legal, but nothing crazy like this. So all the community that is around these bikes it's mostly online. And then I have some close friends that are like really into the things that I'm doing. They just come over and we have a talk, and but also they think like it's crazy seeing something like this together. So it's quite small here over in Europe. There are some big businesses out there. Then for something of a day people, or to meet people that are doing that, you need to go to shows like Bike Shed London and things like that. And that's also still a bit of the process of personally going to people and talking to people. That's like with the CrossFit gym, the people came to us. Because you are running a CrossFit gym, they walk in, so they walk to watch you. So the conversation is already started. But with things like this, you are going to Bike Shed London, you are next to the bike and people looking at it, and then it's on me to speak up to them.
It's not an easy thing to do.
Exactly, and I'm just trying to learn that. So I had my opportunity at Bike Shed London. It's not that I've talked to the right people. That came work from talking to that people. Like the EICMA, we were only at the first days over there, so the press was over there, and it was quite hectic. But the next Bike Shed London, that's the next opportunity, like to meet all of them. So and I'm trying to better myself and like go to us, the people. Like when you guys came up with should we do a podcast, I was like, okay, let's do it. It's completely new for me. So
But you're not alone. Like a lot of the people we speak to, I think back to Stephen at Wood and Gold. You know, he makes rings, and one of the big goals he'd set for himself this year was to I think it was his mentor that had set him the challenge. The next X amount of people that approach you, try and build really meaningful relationships with them. And if he hadn't had that goal, he would probably never have said yes to us.
Yeah, he just said you popped in my email at the right time. I was like, oh, I'm glad you accepted.
And there's also still a lot of people that are quite introverted because, understandably, in what you do, you're in a garage all the time, you're very yourself. You know, sometimes the only company you've got is if the mailman comes round or whoever's playing music in your ear, you know? So I do think getting out there and being open to people. Do you find yourself quite an introverted person or quite an extroverted person?
Like with running the CrossFit gym, I wasn't bad at it. I was quite good at it. Also the group lessons. So there was but I was doing my thing. I was the one that had
you were the expert.
The expert, and trying to tell all of those things to the people. I know with this it's quite new for me, so I don't know if I'm good at it.
I can tell
starting to see that. but in your head, it's like, okay, am I good enough to really do this? So there's always a little bit of doubt. And with being the introvert, I'm comfortable like on my own in the shadow, on my own home. But when I'm out there with people that I really know, I'm also comfortable. And I'm also mostly I'm the one that is just talking about all of the things, and so I'm not the quiet one. So, but just changing that and also doing that with people that I just have never seen, that I don't know, and it's not that I look up to them, but just the connection, trying to get a connection. That's something that I just need to learn on. But a lot of people, like also the close friends, they let me do my thing. But there were also like friends that were really close to me, and when I started switching from the CrossFit gym to building bikes, they were like, "What in the hell is he doing?" But I've lost quite some friendships through that. Right. So that's all also just hard on me personally. It's not that it's making me doubt like, am I good enough to do this? They just think different. They are just a normal life, like But that's also okay, and it's not bad to split up or something like that. But all of those things are just making it harder in your head to like, am I okay? Should I do this or should I push through it? So that's something I need to work on, and I know that I need to work on, and that's also why I just said yes to this.
So you're actively trying to just sort of drown out all that additional noise or that additional doubt, which is important. I think it's what a lot of makers get caught up in, isn't it? And how important it is, like, do you think you'd be as confident as you are in what you're doing if it wasn't for winning the Rolling Sands or seeing such a good response on social media and such a good, because social media, like, let's be honest, it often gets painted with this really bad brush that it's a bad thing, but it's also the best tool we've got, and like in a lot of cases, certainly in the maker space, it is the tool you have to get stuff out there.
Exactly, and to get it out there. Also that.
So if you hadn't won those things, and if you hadn't had such a good response to what you're doing globally, like there's people all around the world loving your stuff, and we looked at the comments and the likes, and people are going crazy for it. If it wasn't for that, and you were just you in the shed, in the workshop there, just cracking on, do you think you'd be as inclined to build it into a business, or do you think it would still just be a hobby?
Still the same.
Yeah.
When I just started, when I've quit at the gym, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I just put on paper like a time span and what time I'm trying to do this and what's possible, like also budget wise, because it's draining out, like and sometimes draining out quickly. And then all of like winning the dream builder and things like that, it's cool to win those things, but it just doesn't change anything inside of me. Like the drive is still the same.
That's good.
People around me are like trying to learn me, like just enjoy a bit more. I'm just so focused on my things that I want to get straight to my goals. So that's also something that I just need to learn a bit more.
Yeah, to celebrate your
and then
done.
When I finished this bike, I just didn't like it anymore. Didn't like anything about it. I was like, okay, I don't like this. This is not good. And then I've put a cover over it, and then I think about after a month or two, I took that cover off, and I was like, whoa, did I build this?
That's good.
But it's completely different. So, but when you're in the process of that and having that deadline, and that deadline was quite heavy, it's hard to enjoy the process then. But it's not that I don't like the work, but it's just something like closing the door like late night, and then maybe it's like I need to look at the bike and think, okay, I'm doing right, and then just walk out, and not just turning off the lights, walk out, go to sleep in the morning, just get back to it. Just enjoy the little things, and that's what I'm trying to do, and that's getting better because I know that they're standing something really cool. And that's something that I wouldn't have said before. So it's all a learning process.
Yeah, I think that disassociation from it, putting the cover over it for even a couple of months, like you said, and then pulling it back off, and that's probably quite a good hack for a lot of people.
Yeah, you can look at it for too long, and then you're just like, it's in your face.
Each small part that it's like in my hands, and then you see like I'm really a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I think this needs better, and then you put it on a bike, and okay, it's good, and then later on you see it, and no, it's not good, but it is good. It's the struggling inside your head.
But that dissociate. Like I think about a lot of the projects I do in film and stuff like that, and I don't go and see half the films because they've been so stressful to do the job and to make it perfect. And obviously I'm doing the design side, and there's a fantastic team of workshop guys and a fantastic team of special effects, visual effects, everyone else that also contributes to that. But I find it really hard to go and watch the film after, because I'm like, you're still associating it with just like stress.
Yep, I'm making
but then it'll come up on a streaming service like
a year later,
a year or two later, and I'll watch it.
Yeah. And then you're like, actually, that was really good.
Yeah, I'm absolutely jazzed as soon as I see it. I'm like, Kate, I was involved in that. I was a tiny
Here, that was
piece,
me.
but I was involved in that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm always really impressed with is and makers throughout. I think it's amazing that these people make a life doing what they're doing. But like ceramicists, leather workers and stuff, there's a quantity there where, you might not appeal to everyone, but you're going to appeal to a lot of people, or you might sell one a day, or you might sell two a day, but you're talking about doing something that is months and months and months of work to sell one.
Exactly.
How does that work? Well, one, on a financial and business level for you, but also on a motivation level, because it's not like and one thing that I think people are, certainly with people becoming more aware of the independent makers, people are certainly beginning to realise, we don't get a weekly paycheck or a monthly paycheck. We invest a large chunk of our year, or life in some cases, and hope that we get a paycheck out at the end of it. Yep. How do you find yourself motivating that, or how do you manage that financially? Because you've got a huge outlay for tools and setup at the moment as well. You're so early on. And
I think when I've started this, I had like a time span, like what's possible. Mm-hmm. I knew I needed to land like one project for someone else, and that was the Royal Enfield project. Mm-hmm. So that kept me going. Right. Like it's just a stamp on the work that you do, and this is possible. But apart from that, I've just a time span on paper. I'm pushing through that, and I've just getting closer towards that. But also the business is like starting to get attention. Yeah. There are people that like want to have a build bike, or want to have a bike build. But then on the other side, there are projects that are way smaller, street legal, and I think when I just switch to doing those things, that's what the company becomes. Mm-hmm. So for me at the moment, it's like really hard to push through it all, and like also personally, but also financially. But I'm just not going to re-aim and do other things, right, to just trying to do something that I love, but not what I really want to do. So yeah, the projects stay quite big, and that's what I really want to do. There will be an end if it's not working out. But yeah, that's just a gamble that I took. So yeah.
But you're quite prepared to stick on that path, and if there's an end, at least you know you tried that path. Don't
exactly. That's how I am, and
it's brave.
If it fails, it fails. But there were like I don't know how to translate that to. But there are like signs of things that it's going to work. Yeah. But it just takes time. And the only thing that it just like really changed a small bit is like going street legal this time, because of the European market is like so small. This is just a piece of art, and people are just able to put it inside their house. Like, okay, that's a cool thing. But when I fire this one up here on the street, I think it's 5 minutes before the police is here. Yep, and then it's gone. So but it sounds like a joke, like the 5 minutes, but when I test ride it, it's on the industry there. There are only businesses around there. So it's just someone out of town. I was with my dad there, and I just fired it up, and like literally 5 minutes after, the police came.
No way, really?
Yeah.
What did you say?
It's quite loud. But it's the police. He's known here in town, so we knew him, and he was like taking pictures with it, and so it turned out into a fun thing. But it's just not possible.
Was it the neighbors that were like, "What is that noise?"
But it's just not possible to ride something here. So that is. It's not that I'm changing like direction completely. The only thing that I need to do is like build a street legal one, so that the market becomes just a tad bit bigger. Really through Europe, and so that there are papers with it and that people can buy it and like can actually ride it.
So it's not just the art collector that's buying it; it's the art collector that wants to ride it, that really appreciates the bike for what it is.
Exactly.
I'm guessing there's a lot of paperwork that comes with doing something like this.
Yeah. But that is the only thing like the building process and everything just stays the same. The only thing that I need is just a part of an original frame with the papers. And from there, so as you see in the workshop. So,
the one that was seen out there, you've used the front end of
the only thing that I use is the ball head or the front
head tube,
the head tube. And the two pipes that are connected to it. And the rest is all cut off and just start over.
And that keeps it legal. So, how is it? Just a research thing? Is it just getting your head into the papers to make sure you don't cross those barriers? Is Europe's like the UK? It's pretty strict, isn't it?
It is strict, but like there are not really rules. You can make changes. It needs to be decent. It needs to be like still somewhat like a normal bike. But like all the choppers are over here that are just built by people. They are all still street legal from Harleys and things like that, and they are quite heavily modified. So, but it is just really hard to take this frame off and try to register it. There's like a huge process of going through, and
because that was built from the ground up. No,
exactly. Yeah. Also, there's no front brake. There's still the option that it's not finished, but there's only a rear brake. The thing is fast, so that's. It's
full slick tires.
Exactly. So that's also something that's illegal over here. So that's just a small box of rules where I have to work with, and that's what I'm doing this time around. So that's the only thing that I've changed to get the market like a little bit bigger, but I won't change super much from my goal and destiny where I'm going. So
And do you think that's a change, or do you think that's just a learning experience?
That one. It's a learning experience.
You're not really changing from your timeline, your path, are you? It's just like add that little bit in constant additions.
Exactly. Because it's not that I was building this bike and I was like thinking that when it's finished I'm able to sell this for huge amounts of cash of money. I knew it would be hard. And also the people that I've talked to that are like known in the business, they are throwing with numbers that I have to ask for something like this. I'm like, it's not real to me, you know. I was just building this thing, and like, what does a normal bike cost? Like 10,000-20,000 euros, and then they are saying like you need to sell it for like around 50 or something like that. And I was like, how am I going to do that? How do I find someone to sell a bike of 50,000 euros and it's not able to ride it on the street? You get it? So,
I get
but there are people out there that are just.
There'll be someone out there that's nothing to. They just want that to sit there for a conversation piece. They'll be sat round dinner.
I appreciate it.
With all their friends that have probably flown in on private jets, having a Michelin star course in their own house, talking about your bike one day.
But that is also something that I'm trying to tell myself. Like when you start thinking like in cheaper boxes, the projects get quite different, and you are changing vision. So that's not something that I like. And even though it's hard financially to get around, it's like what you said, there are people like when it's 50K, it's like nothing. So they are just paying that, setting it in the living room, and that's it. That's something that needs to be in the back of your head, that there are people out there that want to buy things like this.
It's finding your niche, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's people that, like, obviously Kate and I and all the makers we talk to and represent, like, although it's outside our bracket of like our price bracket, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have it in the house. But it's not something we could ever afford. It's it's house deposit money. But there will be people that have the same appreciation that make that daily. There will be someone out there. And I think sticking to no, I'm just going to make a Wilco made bike. I'm just going to do my thing, and eventually someone will pick it up. You know, they will. And have you had much interest on it?
Oh, there's quite some interest.
Yeah.
Also, like when I started building the forks, I had like crazy requests of like buying the fork. They wanted then have them on the wall in the house and things like that. And I was like, no, I need the fork to build the rest of the bike. And it took so much time. Like the shocks I had done, I think 3 times or so. Like I trashed like a lot of parts because I was still learning the process of making a fork. So but I had to turn all of those recasts down. Also like building smaller bikes, and like when you look at the money side of it, it's like, okay, maybe I should build a bike to get some money. But yeah, when people like that, maybe my complete business like side is changing to building smaller bikes, and then people are getting over to me like asking for smaller projects. And what I'm aiming for is doing things like this.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, no, I'm not in a position to do that right now. So
you're not going to deviate. You're just going to stick to your guns.
And that's quite a hard thing, because people around you are like, they are telling you to maybe get that project and do that for the money. And it's like in my head, it's like, when I do that, it probably works out. You get a pay bill or a paycheck. But there's something standing like that I didn't envision. So I really want to push for building things like this.
It's also a very, very fine line between becoming work and becoming what you enjoy doing. You know, the minute you start taking one job for a paycheck, is it another job for a paycheck, and then another job for a paycheck, and then before you know it, you know, Fayura Flutes talked about it yesterday about his workshop's his happy place, and he operates his business as such that doesn't deviate from that. You know, because I think as a maker, it could be something that really stifles your creativity. Yeah, as soon as you start looking at it as one paycheck, whereas just sticking to it as I'm going to do my thing. I think that's sensible. Difficult. Yeah. Difficult for a long time, but ultimately that's building your brand, isn't it? Because your brand is you. It's a 19 built. It's Wilco. It's all attached to that.
That's what I am and what I really want to. Yeah, what I want to show to the world. So
yeah,
I'm not switching from that. So either it works out or it doesn't. Yeah, but I'm not switching.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's brave.
It made
it's
a
really
bit
brave.
of service to born. Yeah, but yeah.
I love your Instagram when you're always on your stories. Do you get good engagement from it?
Yeah, also that. But that's also something that is like completely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Showing myself. I've never done it before, like when there were like getting back to the gym where I were taking pictures, I was always the one on the side or barely out of shot or something like that. So, but I just knew when I went to let something like this work, I need to be out there. People need to see me, and they really love the process of doing things.
Yeah.
So I just try to show in as much detail as possible, like how I do things, like that glitch lever and things like that. Just the process of how I start and how I shape things up. And that's something that like does really good on socials. Yeah. So when I started that, I think I've started around, what was it, December or so, with really committing to this for the Dream Build Off. And then I also bought a new camera, started the Instagram, and I was around, I think 500 or 600 followers. And then when finishing the bike, I was around 11,000 or so. Yeah. And then I had the Royal Enfield project. And I was not able to share anything on my because of the
NDAs and the
yeah. So I have all of the media, but I'm just not able to show it yet.
Yeah.
So we will probably publish that bike at 2023, and from there on it's going online. Yeah. So and I was like, okay, when I can get one project done for myself before Bikes of London, that's what's in the workshop.
Yeah.
Then I have to I'm able to show 2 things, like 2 completely different things, because the Royal Enfield media that I did it's a piece of art, but it's completely functional. Everything works. It's completely drivable. I've ridden it on street. It's legal. Sound is not too bad, so you can just get on it and make miles. Go. Yep, exactly. Nice. And the thing that I'm building right now is it's aiming more towards this, so it's more of that, but it's still functional. The seat won't probably really good and things like that. But yeah,
So somewhere in between the Royal Enfield and this.
Yep.
Somewhere right
so
in
it's
between.
aiming for street legal and then towards this. So then I'm able to show two different things. So what's possible. And so hoping to have something come out of that. So
that'd be cool. Yeah. That'd be brilliant. And what about marketing? What do you do for marketing? Is it just all Instagram, or do you use any other platforms?
At the moment, yes. Yep.
Just Instagram.
It's just Instagram, and then I have Facebook, like that's uploading at the same time. But apart from that, like when I started building this, like nobody knew of me, what I was capable of. So it's really hard to go to someone and say like, "Hey, I'm building bikes," and they're like, yeah, "What are you building?" And the only thing I have to show is like one shot. This is what I'm building. So they really need to see the product and what's coming out of that. And that way of done it once, you can do it twice. But always, like, how people work, they are still in doubt of how things turn out, and you need to develop a little style or something like that. And that's what's happening right now. I'm just setting myself apart from other builders, and that is also what's the reactions at the EICMA of the new build, like the people that are really know from it. They are like, in Europe it's hard to find someone that is doing the same things as you are. So you are completely different from other builders over here in Europe. Like you've said, there is like Maxwell Lozano, there's some other builders in the USA that are doing this. But over here, there's like no one that is doing it.
No.
And that is coming from people that are like well known in the motorcycle industry. And that are things like, for me, that lights the fire again. I'm on the right way.
Yeah.
If they are saying things like this, they are really meaning that, and they really want to help me, and that keeps me like getting through. And
so using Instagram as much as a community, as a marketing tool.
Exactly. Yeah.
And your photography, which is fantastic.
I was going to say that does help.
Yeah,
that does help a lot.
How much do you think that has helped you having that photography film background?
Quite a lot. Also the film, and I have people coming over here like they are doing photography for a hobby, and they are like, that must take loads of time to do that. But what I'm doing is I'm just building a thing. I'm just shooting a couple of pictures in about 5 minutes, go in, edit them on the computer, and upload them online. So it's only 10 minutes work for me.
Yeah.
So you just work it into your day.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Most of the time, it's just on the end of the day, I walk in, fire up the computer, and then upload it. That's what I did with this build, and then it went from 0 to 11,000 really quick. And I was like, how is this happening? We just kept pushing, and then and then doing the Royal Enfield build, it was like quiet, so all the followers are still they are leveled out, but probably when I get back into it, it will. And that's something, when you're trying to build a business like that, it's quite different from other businesses. It is needed to just show what it is. So if you're not able to use the Instagram or only with a phone, like the likes are coming from people that are like looking through Instagram, like, hey, wait, that's a cool picture, and tapping on it, and
does help.
So it needs to stand out a bit, and you need to develop your own style in that. So, and
that's the big thing. It needs to stand out from like there's so much stuff on Instagram, just stuff, and good content's always going to be good content. Like the real good, like content matter, i.e. the bike. That's always going to stand out. But then the addition, the presentation of it is just what makes it really pop. So every night you were just coming in, doing a bit of editing, popping it on. That was just part of your routine.
Yep.
Yeah. So you've obviously come from more of a like the gym and the athlete. How important is routine to you? Do you work with a routine? Some people don't. Some people
actually it's not quite no. I don't think it's quite a routine, but. What I try to do for myself is like the training part is like backed up a lot, but I'm trying to stand up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30, go and train for an hour, and come back, eat some, and have a drink, and then start just working. And it really depends on like, now there is like less pressure because there's not a deadline. Okay, the deadline is Bike Shed London, but that's like 6 months from here or so, or 6 or 7. So now my days are just shorter. I can go for a walk with the dog and just relax a bit. But for me, it's like I'm not afraid to work a lot and to put a lot into this. Even if it's needed to go through the weekends or go through the nights, I will just do what's needed to get to the point where I think I need to be. And that routine can change quite a bit. Like during the last build, during this build, I dropped 12 kilos or so.
Wow.
Yep, and then the build was done. I built that back up. And then Royal Enfield came and gave me 2 months. And I dropped back to 12 kilos. So and then I go back into sporting a bit and then picking that up. But during that project, I was like, okay, I can go to the gym. But when I go to the gym, I train like, people just normally would call me crazy. I will go deep. But then I go home and then I need to be on the couch for an hour or something like that because I'm completely gone by training. So that's just not possible when there's a deadline. So I just may skip the training or just do a little less and try to change the routine a bit. But
just focus on the thing that you need to focus on, isn't it?
That's what's happening. Okay, there's a goal. That's what I need to do, and then I will fade out all, like also social. And I know it's not always good to do that, but in my head it was like, okay, I have that opportunity to be at EICMA. EICMA won't change its date for me, so I just need a bike finished. And that's a huge opportunity to show it to the people there, and to show what I'm capable of. So, like during the building phase of a company, sometimes you need to go a bit deeper than when it's already working and running. And so I know that the all of the time that I'm putting in right now is quite a bit. I'm not able to keep that up for like 10 years or so.
No.
I'm not able to do that.
But you're willing to make that sacrifice just now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you start with a routine and then it goes out the window.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
The only routine that stays the same as in the workshop.
Yeah.
I just try to work clean. Like over at my dad's place when I was building there, it was just for fun, and like the garage was a mess. But I was just building things to for fun and and then when I switched over here, I was like, okay, I need this workshop to be really clean. I need to work clean because I just know when I'm working clean things will come out better. Also that.
Yeah, I mean, we looked in your workshop there, and you've got, you know, the grinding rooms all shut off and very specific places for certain things, and that's important, surely.
To work clean, yes.
Yeah.
And that's something that because when I've stepped out of the gym, I had to do some work. So I started working at EHR Tuning. That's a bit from here.
And that's the brand just on the...
Exactly, yep. And he's doing the CNC work, like the cover over there and things like that. But he's a world champion in two-stroke tuning. So I went over there. And I had no clue of two-stroke engines. My dad worked quite a bit with it, so I've seen it. But then I've joined that work, and I'm still doing that 1 or 2 days a week. Just if it's needed, I go over there and But that's also something for me that's a bit of a relaxation, because when I'm there, I'm just working, doing my thing. I know what to do, like breaking down the engine, making the changes, and I'm building it back up again. And when I'm here, it's like it's much more a creative process. So it's way harder on the head. So when I go to do a normal job, it feels like a relaxation for me. Yeah, so that's quite weird to like other people when I tell them, and they're like, "That's not possible." That is possible.
That is possible. Yeah.
Because when I'm here, I'm just thinking of like how to make this, and I'm not someone that is like drawing things out. Yeah. That's also like that's quite different from normal. Like they start with a sketch or something, and I just grab a piece of metal and I start. Yeah. I know how it needs to function in my head, and then when it's functioning, I start shaping it, and that's how I get to this. Like amazing. That's also something through social media. Like a lot of people are like, how is your design process and how do you work? Will you get more people into your workshop like in the future? And I was like, I think that's quite hard because you're not able to look into my head what you need to make. And for me, it's like really hard to put something on paper. Also with the Royal Enfield, they wanted sketches, and I was like, I'm really bad at doing the sketches. I can draw, pretty good, but
it's not how you work.
No, it's really hard to like set me in front of a piece of paper and just draw a bike. It's just not happening for me. So what I need to do is just put it on the table, break it down, and then in some strange way it's just making itself. So that's how it feels for me.
It's almost like build the bike and then draw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Build the bike and just take a picture of it afterwards.
But that's the weird thing, and like people are just not getting that. So that's quite a big question that I get through social media and things like that. And how are you doing things? And that's also like you get into talk with people, and then you notice how they are doing things. So and you learn from that. So
2 seconds. I'm just going to fix Kate's cable because bump off of you. I've stupidly wrapped the cables around each other. Sorry. That should solve it. So that process in the workshop. So you're not. We've obviously talked about you're not drawing it out. It's just what's in your head. What does it look like? We talked about the fork, obviously. Are you just working front to back, or is it like built the fork? Oh, I've got a good idea for a chain tensioner, or I've got a good idea for the shifter. Are you jumping about everywhere, or?
The only thing that I do is like I have a list on my phone, like things that need to be on that bike. So like a chain tensioner and things like that. So they are out there, and I finish like one by one.
Right.
And of course, I need a fork to build a bike around, so the fork needs to be done first, or the frame, and from there on the forks and the wheels, and then add all the small things. But apart from that, it's not that I'm going from one to another, because that's what happened a little bit with the last Royal Enfield build, because of the time pressure, because of things that I just had to go out house and let somebody else do the part. So then I've had to take off the part, bring it away, but I wasn't able to like progress on before, like the handlebars or something like that. Because it's on the table, and then I think, okay, I think this looks good. No, that angle, okay, this is fine.
Right.
But when there's not a triple clamp, I just can't make a handlebars. And my handlebars is like the highest point of the motorcycle, and I'm stepping back and like, I don't think that looks good. But yeah, so it's really hard to design for me if certain parts of the bike are just missing. So what I do for myself is like, okay, I think I need this one finished, and from there on I can progress the build.
Right.
But it's not like that every time I will work the same. For this one, I had the front forks done. For the one that's on the table right now, there's an engine and 2 tubes, and I'll start from that. And I will probably first build or the rear of the frame or the front fork. So it just, what comes up to my mind, like thinking what I need to do to progress, that is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm starting the forks and it's halfway down and then start something else. No, I need to be like, tap one off and then move on to the next one. So.
And is it totally finished, that part? Is it like, right, I'm doing the handlebars today, that part's now 100% finished, exactly. I don't need to do any more?
Yep, exactly. So when it's completely done and it needs nickeling or something like that, the only thing I have to do is just take it off and get it away.
Yeah.
So that it is done. And sometimes that's like what I told before, then I take it off and like, I think I couldn't do this better, and then even finish it better.
That's what we were talking about the past few days, like when do you know when to just stop?
Yeah, exactly that. Yep.
And do you know when to stop?
No.
Not at all. Thank you. Someone that's been honest.
Not at all. Not at all. No,
so many people have come up with like great methods on how they teach themselves when to stop, or where their stop point is and they don't go past it. But man, I can't do that. Whenever I'm making stuff, I ruin it.
Yep. And it's also like during the last build for Royal Enfield, it was like, it's a learning process because I really want to do everything myself. But during a deadline or so, you have to like get some parts done out of house. And then bringing them away, I'm like, I hope this is going all like good and like to my standards. Yeah. So I'm trying to look out for businesses that I follow for a longer time and I know what they are making, and I'll bring it over there. But for the last parts, like the nickel plating over here in the Netherlands, the waiting lists are like so long. So It was really hard to find a company that would do it in like a week or so. And then I found one brought it over there, and it was more of an industrial business. So when I brought the parts, I packed them like really nice, so that they won't get damaged. And when I got them back, they were just in a handbag, like here it is, and go. And I was like, no. Yeah. So the parts had, they weren't perfect, but I just couldn't change anything. Yeah. The only thing that I could do was like go home, put them on the bike, and just don't look at them anymore.
Put them as part of a bigger thing, so you can't see the little issue.
That you just,
But that'll be something that in time, you'll get a good reputation and a good name for yourself, especially building fantastic pieces like this. And then surely you'll be able to slip in, and customers will have, or companies will make space for you. When it's definitely a thing when, like, again, all the work we do in film, because we use same companies time and time again, we gain good respect to those companies, and they just kind of shoehorn you in and make you fit. So I think that's something that'll definitely come easier. Yeah. What do you, and on that same note, is there things that you find are just getting exponentially easier every time you build it, or are you attacking every build as just a totally fresh thing?
The things that like they get easier, like the machining and things like that, I'm definitely improving on that. So when I started this, I had an idea, but I just completely did not know how to get to the point where I wanted to be.
Right.
So I had to figure out everything. Like on the next project or the last one that I did, I was like, okay, I want to make this. Just start. I know how to do this. Of course, with the aluminium fairing, that was also complete new. So it was the same process of going through this. But there were like lots of parts, like the food bags and everything like that, where I felt comfortable doing them. Yeah. Whereas before, I just did not feel comfortable at all, because I just really did not know what I was doing. And when you tell someone, like, they ask you, well, how are you making things? And I was like, I don't know. I just start and I will, the process goes on. And
there's not a written process for it.
It sounds weird to a lot of people, like just starting something you don't know. But in my head, the bike is finished and I know I can get to that point, so I'll just try to keep pushing through a bit. But as you've just said, like, through this project, there were already companies like making brake levers and clutch levers, trying to send products to me and have me added then to the bike. And I was like, no, that's something that I just want to do by hand. I'm not adding other products to my project. So also turning them down is something.
It's interesting.
It's a gamble.
Actually,
People are really wanting to help you. But it changes the vision of what I want. So then saying no is like,
thanks, but no thanks.
Exactly. Like, I appreciate that I want to help and want to send over their products to have me add them to my bike. In my head it's like, okay, no, a clutch lever needs to be done by hand, so I can't just add one. That will completely change the look of the bike. So
but if it was the right product that fitted, would you be into using it?
Exactly. Then I would probably think about it. Like, I knew I can make clutch levers myself and things like that, but like seats, that's a different story. That's quite hard to do. It's it's a different jam. So if there's somebody out there that's like, okay, maybe I'm able to do a cool seat from, I would definitely try that. And that's what I really wanted to do with the last build, because of the time being so narrow, I had to like opt for another leather seat. And so but the bike is coming back, and then I will finish the seats.
Then just change it up.
I just need to find someone. I think I found someone that is doing like really cool seats, and I'm just happily to let somebody else do that.
And what's coming up for you? What next? We've obviously got the build on. How long do you put aside for your builds? Like the build that's on the table. Do you have a deadline, or is it just when it's finished?
The deadline is Bikes at London. But the weird thing about me is when I'm building a bike, I have an idea. I know where I'm heading, somewhat. But how it will look, that's really hard to explain. Because when I'm making pieces, sometimes like, that's a bit off, I will change that. So just during the process, it's changing quite a bit. But then also I'm adding pieces. I think, oh, this may be cool, or that may be cool. So in front of starting a build, I'm like, I think this is about a 4-month build, also with that one. and it turned out to be a 6 or 7 month build because I just gone completely crazy on the throttle system and things like that. I just wanted something that is never done before, so it goes into the frame, comes out, walks around the wheel, then splits into 2 and things like that. But that's something that stands apart from other builds. So.
Well, that's it. Those details ultimately become what people are interested in. That's what, like, everyone's walked past a cool bike or a cool car at a show, but ultimately those details are what gets you to stop and stare at it and look at it really closely, and that's your opportunity to spark conversation. They're the conversation pieces. Yeah, I mean, I if you look at the pardon me, if you look at the sort of ideation between doing something more art based as a concept to start with, it isn't dissimilar to what big car companies or motorbike companies are doing. You know, when they show stuff in is it Switzerland to do the big car show every year, the Geneva Car Show?
Yeah.
Like, that's always their concept. It's never really what it looks like. So doing something like that, surely that's exactly what you want to do. You know, it puts it on the map, spend the time on all those tiny little things, and that's what's going to build the name, isn't it? That's what's going to build the interest in it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think so. But like the funny thing is, like, also through social media, like doing these weird things, like adding a throttle cable through the frame, and there are like people from. There's one guy from France. He's building like vans from out of Amsterdam. He's living in the Netherlands, but he has like the mindset. He's building a VW Transporter van, and everything that's not visible is also finished to perfection.
Yeah.
And I'm like the same. When you take the shock apart, they are polished inside.
Yeah.
Nobody ever sees it.
But you know that.
Yeah, I know it. So in my head, it's like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
So and when it comes to like a pressure of time by a deadline, I will never fade those things away. I will keep doing them. Like when you take something apart, like, who has made this? Why is this polished inside? Nobody sees. But it's giving me a rest in my head, and that's something that I want to,
and that'll build your brand as well.
Exactly.
Like, there will be a day where someone takes it apart, it's polished inside, and it's like, that must be a Wilco.
Something like that.
Something
exactly.
Like that.
So and then you meet people through social media that are doing exactly the same, and that's cool. I've never met them in person, but like the conversations that we have, like, are so broad and so wide. It's
that's a great thing about Instagram as well.
Yeah.
Have you met any good friends through Instagram?
That's the one that is like, it's not that we talk daily, but like there was like on a steady base that we are talking. So and I still don't know who the guy is, but in person. But it's quite crazy. Yeah.
That's good.
And then things like, you know, Bike Shed London and stuff, they're a good chance that if you are building these relationships, you can catch up with these people, you know?
That's what I'm working on. So.
Yeah. Yep. And that community, I think, is important. It's too easy to get stuck in a like, quite literally stuck in a shed, you know, building stuff, and then not doing that. So back to the original question, sorry. So what's next? Other than what's on the table, have you got other plans in mind? What does that timeline look like for you?
Not yet.
No.
So it is really focusing on this project. There are like 2 projects, like they are standing here outside. I'm able to do them in quite a small time span. So when there is time left before Bike Shed London, I will probably take one out of them and do them also. Maybe try to get them at the show and like also sell that. But that will be just a smaller piece.
Like an optional extra. Like if I've got time, great. If not, it's not. I'm not going to sacrifice my other builds to make that one do the job.
But that will be more personal based, like to really use for myself.
Yeah, okay.
Because I still ride motorcycles, sometimes do motocross, but I become really bad at it because I'm way too heavy. But
I was about to say, is that like something you still do? Is ride bikes just
sometimes?
Yeah.
Just
you find time to do it.
And then that's like with the same. When I'm doing something, I just want to do that like fully committed.
Yeah.
I'm riding like motocross. You have to train for that, and then I'll go back into it like after having not ridden for like 6 months or so. And in my head, it's like the same as 6 months back. I need to be good at this. And then I'm just failing because I'm just not able to do it anymore like I was able to do it before. Yeah. And that's also, making these changes is quite hard for me. And that is also what I said, like from training 7 times a week, going back to 3, accepting these things, that some things do change.
Yeah.
Through things that you want to do.
It's a bit like you and the bike. You used to ride all the time. And
oh man, I'm a nightmare for it. Like I fully focus on something, get reasonably good at it, something else takes my interest, fully focus on that, and then the other thing just disappears out.
That sounds
or I don't want to do it anymore, or like I don't. Like a lot of my pals that do still ride, ride mountain bikes or ride gravel bikes or ride road, that I don't really see much, because I'm like, well, I'm not as fit as I used to be. So you're going to blow me out the water, so I don't want to go out with you guys anymore. I'll meet you at the pub.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And it's a bit of a curse, but I think if you're directing it into something like you are with the bikes, it's a blessing. If you can direct it into like your training before and now your bikes, and you can just wholeheartedly go at something, it's much the same as you with We Are Makers. Like, how many times have we fobbed off, just not gone to like family commitments, or not gone to the gym at night, or not because you're fully invested in this,
fully committed to something. Yep, exactly.
And you know what? If you're not fully committed, it's like that would never be a thing. We would not be sat here talking about this right now if you weren't fully committed.
Yep. Of course, there are days like I'm waking up like, oh, okay, man, this is still so much work.
Yeah.
But that's when just like the piece of dedication comes in, and like you push through. And a lot of people, like, they start something and then it becomes like really much work, and they just back out of it and just leave it there and just go back to the normal work. I think that's the same with like a lot of makers out there. Like, they are built a bit different than other people.
Yeah.
Built different.
Yeah. But I really think that it's like that. So, and then it's also like quite hard to let it in your narrow circle of people, trying to make clear what your goals are. And because when I tell somebody I'm going to bike a build and I want to sell it for 50k, they're like, no way, that's going to happen.
But you could.
But then it's really hard to like stay in touch with them about that certain thing. Like,
it's so true. We have the same.
And then it's most of the time it is possible to like split ways and don't see the people anymore.
Yeah, totally. And that's totally fine. Like, your goals need to be the most important thing to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those people have to respect that at the same time.
Also that, but that's also the funny part of it. Like, you start thinking different, like in a project like this, and trying to push for it, and then you meet other people through the process. Like in this case, it's online, but when you're going out to like Bike Shot London, there are like like-minded people who are the same.
Yeah,
it's easy to talk to. You don't have to explain.
Exactly. So
you just understand.
That's something that just comes with it, but sometimes it's hard to accept too.
Yeah. And
you need to learn to accept things that they are happening, and you can't keep everything like going the way before. So there are some commitments needed for something like this. So like the social life that I had through this was like zero, I think. So.
Whereas the social life through the CrossFit gym would have been fantastic.
Completely different. That's what a gym is. It is social, and
certainly the CrossFit side of things is very much community based, isn't it?
Very much. Yeah, a huge community.
Yeah, I'd encourage people to try CrossFit for sure, because it's not something I'd ever thought. Jack would come back from the gym and he was like almost dead, and I was like, I'm definitely not trying CrossFit. And he said, you should just come. And then no, it's really good. I think
really there are a lot of people like going to a regular gym and they are like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
What do I need to do? What program? They don't know how the exercises work.
Yep.
And like with CrossFit, it's like the community, everybody helps each other.
The class is coached.
You are being taught what to do, how to do.
Yep.
Like things like that,
That's another thing you don't need to think about.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that, I mean, for Kate and I, that's exactly why we go, because it kind of marks the end of our day. We always go into the 6:30 class, and it's like, if it wasn't for that, we would just keep working. Keep working. Yeah.
So it's a mark, like, okay, let's go sporting.
Do you have that at all? Do you have a mark? I know we've talked about like get up in the morning and train to start your day, and then we talked earlier off recording. Sometimes your days are 14, 16 hours. Do you have anything to just mark the end of your day, or is it just project dependent?
Normally, like when there's no real deadline or something like that, I will like quit around 6 o'clock in the evening or so. And from there on, just do like other things. Yeah. Or just invest time in photography because I still like that. And but it's not that I'm never doing nothing. Yeah. That's really hard for me, and that's something that I was in therapy for, to get to some point of relaxation. Yeah. Because I'm like, my head is always on. It's on and on and on. It keeps going. So yeah, there is not a real mark. Even with like having my meals, I know I need to eat, but then I'm making a certain part, and I'm like, no, I need to finish this first. And before I know, I'm like 2 or 3 hours into it, and I look at the clock and I know,
still not eating.
Still not eating.
Yeah,
and you really need to eat. Okay, no, I need to do this, and then that's why I drop all the weight.
Yeah. But then you get the good bit of putting it all back on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's wicked, man. So have you ever looked at doing? Obviously we talked about selling one bike, 4 months, and then one bike. You're putting a lot on the hopeful sale. Have you ever looked at, running a YouTube channel alongside it? Have you ever, anything else to monetize it? Subscribers, any other of these new sort of digital incomes? Have you ever looked at trying to do anything like that?
But with this build and the last Royal Enfield build, it was quite hard because there was a deadline, and it just takes time to do a YouTube channel. But at this point, like the deadline is. Like at London, I know I will finish that comfortably. So what I'm going to do is like invest more time into the Instagram again, and properly set up a YouTube channel. Because I think like the YouTube channel, when explaining everything how you do things, that will really work out. Yeah. But like you need to invest time into it. It is not possible to just like invest like 30 minutes a day and hope a YouTube channel will work out. That's just not going to happen.
No, it's hours.
Yeah, exactly. But from now on, it's like the pressure of finishing this build is like a lot less. So probably I'm going to use the YouTube and doing things like that. Because I still enjoy the filming and like the little bit of editing and things like that. So
it's a good opportunity to use both your skills.
But that's what I really wanted to do from the start on, because I know that is something that it's not needed that is out there, but a lot of people are looking for that. So, but then again, when the hours become like 14 to 16 hours a day, it's really hard to also do the YouTube. And you're completely on your own, and then you can get someone to do it for you, but that will shrink the budget. So it's things to think about.
Yeah, it's time or money, isn't it? Yeah, it's time or money. You're either paying someone to do it for you, which means you get more content out there, or you're doing it yourself, which means you have less time. And that's kind of what I was getting at. Is there a world where you add 30% onto every deadline, time-wise, to allow yourself set time to do that? Because you're obviously a very strict person with yourself and the routines and your previous athletic endeavours, and even just being able to produce something like that. So it's like, is there a world where doing that takes it's going to add more time pressure, but it takes financial pressure off, and which one's better? Because ultimately
I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this project. This is the first really project. The deadline for this wasn't there at the start, but then Royal Science obviously came with the rebuild after there was a deadline. Then the next build was a deadline from Royal Enfield. But this is the first one that's just without a deadline. There is bikes at London, but it's quite
a far away deadline.
Exactly. Yeah. So now there is time to just expand that and do things like that. Yeah. And try to fire up something like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think when we spoke to yesterday with Fiora Flutes, and Maximus has had a few other things through YouTube and also through the BBC and doing, although he's still making and he's still very much doing his maker capacity, they were sort of financial add-ons, which I think is quite important as an independent maker, getting those add-ons. But like you say, it's really easy for them to take away from doing the big task, which for you is making bikes totally your way. So yeah, I don't know the right answer to that one. I'm always intrigued to see what the right answer is to other people.
People need to see the product to be able to say like, hey, I want something like that. Build me something like that.
Yeah.
So when I'm not doing the Instagram, like, it's impossible for me. That's something that I know. So that's also why I do the stories and show people what I do and how I do it.
Yeah.
I know it's just impossible to like bury myself in the workshop and build bikes and then I have like 5 pictures going over the internet and hoping to sell something. So
you have to put
the
yourself
Instagram,
out there.
and the social media things and the networking, that's a huge part of it, and that needs to be done.
Yeah, and they're good though. Like the stories and stuff are good because you can just do them as you're going.
Exactly.
And like you say, you've built a good routine with the photography and all that as well, which is it is paramount, as you say. Like, it needs to be done alongside everything else. It just has to happen. So are you quite singularly focused on the bike that's on the bench, or are you always thinking about the next build? And how do you how does that all work for you?
There was one idea that's still in my head, but that would take so much time that's something that is like shifted to the right, and this one's before that, but my focus is just completely on this build. I knew that I really want to do something with like a real slow old engine that is friction driven, so no chain or something like that.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy, but
like a board tracker kind of thing.
Exactly, something like that. But over here in Dutch, I don't know if it's from but it's Solex. It's more like a bicycle, but the engine is right on the wheel and it's driven by friction, so it's
on the front wheel.
Yep, on the front wheel. But that idea is just something that got in my head, and I was like, okay, one day I will build that. But that just shifts aside because that's such a huge project.
Yeah.
And I have to figure out how things are all working. So at this point, it's smarter to do a build that is just a tad smaller and that I'm able to show at Bikes at London instead of even going another year without noticing anybody, like the thing that I do of like able to show it somewhere. So
Is Bike Shed London something you have to apply for, or do you just get invited? Yeah. Okay.
There were like, I think around 300 bikes or so. So you need the submission one and then have to be
accepted.
Taken out. Yep.
Yeah. Does it cost?
No, it's totally free.
That's
Everything
good.
is free. Yep. So they just give all the builders a platform to show their things.
That's really good.
You just need to apply to make sure you're of a certain caliber.
And the funny thing is, when I've started, obviously I had done 2 smaller builds, but I wanted to apply for shed road. There's a shed road that's like builds that are done in a shed, and then there's pros and I have to watch a semi-pros.
Yeah.
And we got over there, and I thought I was in shed road because I built this one in shed, and they gave me the place, and I was like, pro? I don't know, but that's weird.
I'll take
awesome.
it. But then I walked in the bike, and they said there's a maker's room for people like where are like really special builds, and you were in there. And I was like, okay, weird. But that's crazy.
That must have been another big confidence boost for you.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah.
And like Arjan van der Boom, that's from the Netherlands. He's a huge one, like also on social media and things like that. And when I've gone through the process, I was like, it would be cool to just stand somewhere next to them, and I was like right next to him. The bike there. It's just so weird.
That's good. It's good.
Things just fell in place, like you've imagined them, and it's not happened yet.
And do you think that, I know we're doing one that's a bit more, I know we've done the Royal Enfield one that's sort of the more sensible end, and now we're doing one that's kind of in between. Do you think you're still trying to find your style, or do you think the more art style's your style? Where do you think that lies?
Like the Royal Enfield, I'm just not able to show that on like to all people, but it's a piece of art. It's when you see it, it's just completely different from other bikes, and it's not something that is like regular. There's a lot of handwork that is invested in that. So like the art form is never drifted away. It's not a build that I did like with other intentions to just build something to get a paycheck. It's still a piece of art, and I will stay on that line.
And that's your direction. It will always still be a piece of art.
Of course, it would be cool to build like a race style bike or something like that, but the art piece needs to be also on there. So
Part of it.
I'm not afraid of building like different looks of bikes. It's not like committed to only building like low bikes on dragster style things. I think that's quite big in things that I can do, like a flat tracker, for example, also can then be in a way of art, like use a lot of aluminium and add cool things and
Indeed. Okay.
No, I was going to say, how do you source your material? Like, is it local, or I don't know how you do this for a bike?
all the materials, that's all local. It's not far from here, so that's pretty easy to get over here. Some materials are harder to get over here, but lots of them are local. Not far from here.
And presumably it's just all standard engineered steel. It's all it's
like this chassis is chromoly.
Yep.
And like the big pieces are just pieces of steel, and otherwise it's aluminium, some bronze over here for like the forks. Like all the pivot points need to be bronze bushings and things like that.
Did you turn all the bushes yourself, or did
everything.
you? Okay. So you didn't just buy them off the shelf.
Everything.
They're a really easy thing to buy.
I've just bought a piece of bronze and then started machining them. Yep.
That's how you learn, I suppose, doing it yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. Also, like with the machinery, that's a fun story to tell. Like over where I work at the two-stroke tuner, he has all the machinery, he knows everything about it. And then I'm turning pieces and I'm taking them with me and like, how did you do that? I'm like this. He said, that's not normal to do it that way. He said, but it's working. It's quite weird. And then there are like people that are selling a part for all the machines. And then they ask, do you need stuff? Do you have everything? And then it's like, for me, it's, no, I need things to like turn aluminium. Yeah, what things? I don't know the name of those. I'm just using them. So I'm going home taking pictures of it, and he's like, "Oh, but that's just a normal one." I have no clue of what I'm using.
Yeah.
So it's all about feel. Like the speed of the machines, like for different materials, need to be different. But you can, when you're turning it, you can obviously see what you are doing. Yeah. So if the speed is wrong, you're just seeing the back in the product. Yeah, and that is like quite fun because I have like a gas cap that's on a mini build. That is just, it's not able to make it by a normal lathe or a mill. It needs to be CNC, but somehow I've just figured it out to just drill holes in the thing and then turn it down, and then it got out of. I was showing that to him, and he was like, "How did you make this piece?" I was like, "Yeah, he's like, that is crazy."
That's wicked.
But in my head, it's like, okay, when I drill 8 holes and I will turn it down, it becomes that shape. Okay, let's do that, and then just try it.
And even your machine work, are you just doing that all in your head, or do you draw it out? Do you take notes? Just
the thing that I do, like with triple clamps, obviously the holes need to be on the right place.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that I'll just blueprint on there, and it's marked. Those are marked. But apart from that, like the form that will, when the holes are in, I'll look at the piece and I think, okay, I think that shape looks cool. And then I draw a line and then grab out the grinder and then start shaping it. It's like a really real process. Nobody gets the picture of it. But yeah, that's what working for me. And I like small things like the logos over there, like that are engraved in the heads. Yeah. That's just something that comes up to me like, can you make this for me? Yeah, like I'm able to do it. Okay, do it. And it looks cool. And then
that's like
And then, like we said, it's just another little conversation point. So we talked a lot about, you're obviously self-taught on all the machinery. Where did you start? Was it speaking to people? Was it trial and error? Did you do the YouTube search? Like, I'm a massive fan of the fact that YouTube is the next university. Like, you can find anything out
exactly,
there.
Yep.
And did you do that, or was it all the experience around you?
Some of the parts, yes. Because I've bought the machinery, there were a lot of tools with it. And when I look at it, I don't know what the tool is. So I look up the internet, I'm like, hey, this is for that, and I can use that for that. But apart from that, like how things are working, there are lots of people that are also putting out pictures of their processes and doing things. I just look at something, and then I think, okay, that's needed, and then I'll start. And there are times for error, or there are happening errors a lot. But I also think that by all those errors, you are just learning quite fast. Of course, it is cool to just go really slowly, and make everything perfect the first time. But I just don't know how to do something, so our error is just needed. And then when I make an error, I'm like really looking into this and like, how could have this happened, or how could this happen? And then I'll just change my thoughts about something, try again, and go again. Yep.
And do you find that frustrating at all, or have you just accepted that as part of the?
Sorry?
Do you find that frustrating at all?
No, that's just the weird part. I'm like, when something goes wrong, and there were like parts where I've had like 2 days invested into it, and then I measure something, I get it into the mill, and I'm like, okay, that's gone. And then it's like 5 minutes of like, that's not cool, but then I just start over and go again.
Let's not waste time. Just
but I can get. There are times like that are frustrating. Like if it's two days of work that goes down the drain, and there is a deadline, that's adding stress, of course. But it's not something that is bothering me. Like really
don't dwell on it.
No, I just grab a new piece and go again.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Not to get frustrated about that. To just accept that's part of the journey.
Exactly.
It's part of what it is.
And most of the times, like the first piece took me like 2 or 3 days, and then the second piece is like 1 day or so. It goes much quicker because you need to know what to do. Also with the aluminium work, like the right side of this seat, for example, it took me like a full day, and the other things, the left side was about 2.5 hours or so.
Yeah. Wow. Learn quick then.
Exactly. I just have no clue of what to do. Like for the last Royal Enfield build, you need a shrinker and a stretcher for the material to shrink or to stretch. I've just bought that, and I put a piece of material in and just see what it does. And okay, this is doing that. Okay, then I'll probably need to do this. And then there are people out there that are like uploading a lot of things about aluminium work and telling how the material works. So I'll really look into that. So yes, I do use the social media or the YouTube and things like that for it. But it's mostly Instagram where I follow those people. And it's just listening, and then, okay, if he's telling that, I will just try that and then see what the material does.
Yeah. And do you think that lack of knowledge, do you think that actually helps you? Because it could be like knowing exact. So all my work's in CAD, and if I try and do something more creative, I automatically, like if it was a personal project, start think. All my work's not just in CAD; it's in manufacture. I need to think about the quickest, fastest, and most cost-effective way to manufacture something, which then means that, you know, if I was coming to build a bike, like if you were like, if you showed me a sketch of that bike, I'd immediately be like, well, don't hand form the tank. Let's just get it made out of folded sheet metal, and then we'll just take it together. And it wouldn't look like that. It wouldn't have those very subtle curvatures. It wouldn't be as beautiful, but I guarantee it would go together much quicker. So that, for me, would be something quite limiting. Do you think not knowing the tools originally was quite freeing for you?
I think so. I definitely it is. Because, like, my dad, his background is way bigger, and he just knows things about the tools. And when I come up with that idea, he's like, I don't think that's possible. But I just start, because in my head, I think it is possible. There are people out there that have done it, so why shouldn't it be possible? So I just start. That was the Dutch word. But figuring out the process of trying to do that's the hard part for me. And eventually, when I made it, the second one is like, it's way easier. Quicker. It goes way faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is time consuming to learn all those things by ear, yes.
Yeah. Yep. And is there a part that we know you obviously started with the forks and stuff, is there a certain part that you know is going to be really, really tricky to build, that you're desperate to build on a bike? You know, is there like a front hub that you'd like to build yourself? Is there something that you're like, this is going to be hard?
That's the front, yeah. Also with the idea of like the friction driven bike, there is like an idea of building a drum bike with a disc inside. That's just going through my head, and I think
a drum brake inside it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is possible to do that, but I just don't know yet how to do it. But yeah, when I start that project, and I think I will ever start that project. It will come to that point. So I'll figure it out then.
Yeah. Don't stress about it today. Exactly. That's a tomorrow problem.
Yep. Yeah. That's also with the friction-driven thing. Like you have to reverse the gearbox because if you put a roll onto the back wheel, you would go reverse instead of going to the front. So things like that. But it's just figuring out along the way. And there is the things of not knowing how to do things. There is just not a limitation in my imagination or something like that. Okay, and people that are knowing of how to do things, they are like, I don't think that will work out, and they probably will think about it and then don't start it because it's the project will be way too big to just make something out of it, and that's just not in my head. There is no limitation. It's just go and try.
It sounds like that's one of your real strong points, is actually not knowing how to make it.
Yep.
Because if you did know how to make it, it would shrink your imagination.
Exactly.
It's like, who mentioned it the other day? It's like if you ask a kid to draw.
Yesterday.
Was it yes? It was yesterday, wasn't it? It was when again? If you ask a kid to draw, there's no limitation. They're just drawing something without any limitation.
Yep, exactly.
So
that's a bit of how I work, and that's also like I don't tell like a lot of people what my ideas are of what I want to make because they'll probably say
there's too many
work,
opinions.
Exactly. So I just keep that quite narrow and work it out for myself.
But I bet you the people you do tell are super jazzed about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then during the project, they are getting interested in it because they see just something that is being developed and coming to life, and then they are like, okay, this is going to work. Okay, that's cool.
Well done.
That's cool. Yeah. And then they start just to talk to other people about it, and then I'm combining like, hey, you're the one that's building the bike. Yep, that's me. And
that's me.
So that's the weird part of it.
Big guy.
Yep.
So one of the things that I think certainly your business from the outside looks quite unachievable to start because of the pure amount of tooling you need, the amount. How have you attacked that? For say somebody's watching this and wants to, not me, definitely not me, but say someone wants to start building their own bikes. How did you manage kitting out such a good workshop yourself?
Well, I think that like over at EHR Tuning, there was like a lot of stuff that I did learn. Is it okay if I go to the toilet real quick?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
I was like holding it up. It's like, okay.
It's like pausing.
So getting back to it, the question like for other makers that are looking at setting up like a similar business or like a business like this, like how did you go about kitting out your workshop? Because it looks like it's a very expensive thing to do, and not just expensive, but you could easily spend a lot of money in the wrong place.
Exactly that. Like when I've quit the gym, there was a certain amount of money that came from that. So that was the first investment. But like knowing what to buy, like I had no clue of all of the machinery. My dad had some of the machinery, but like really small. And with the ideas that I had in my mind, I needed just bigger machinery. So the guy over at EHR Tuning, he has all the machinery like CNC and also the hand machines and things like that. So he knew quite a bit about that.
Right.
He also knew someone that had the machinery like laid in the mill over there, like as in a total package. So I had a look over there. And also the guy from EHR Tuning so happens to be the friend of my mom, so they are together, and so he was helping me a lot with that. And the only tools that he uses like from really good brands, and he knows his stuff about it.
Yeah. So it's so easy to buy rubbish stuff and end up having to buy it twice, or buying a lathe that looks great and then having a big problem that costs you more to repair than it did to buy the lathe. All these things are all aspects.
Exactly that. Because I figured that out quite quickly because I bought drills, like a complete package, and I don't know the price anymore. And I was drilling and I was like, oh, this is taking ages. It's just not working. So I went over to him and I said like, do you know good drills and things like that? So he bought me a set. The price was like 4 or 5 times of the one that I bought. But I was going home and drilling like, oh, this is a drill. That's weird. And so good tools for lots of parts I just needed. And to have a bit of help with that differs. Yep. Yeah. So figuring it out all by yourself, like the English wheel, I had one before, like that was this big or so. It's able to go in a clamp on the working bench. Yep. I don't know the word. Device. Yep. And I was just English wheeling things with that, and you could see the frame doing this. So it just put impression on the material, but it's just And so I bought a bigger one, and that one's working. It's still not a perfect one, but it's inside of the budget. And it is way better than I had before. But that's also something just by trial and error, because I had no clue of what an English wheel did. And I've looked up one on the internet, and I was like, okay, this is a small one. It's not too expensive, so I just buy that one. And then it came home, and I was like English wheeling, and it didn't do much. True trial and error. Some things, because like he's helping me a lot with the machinery. Like that's the thing he knows about, but English wheel and sheet metal things, he doesn't know anything about it. Like also my dad is not using those parts. He knows them, but he does not know what are the good brands or what are the good tools. So that's a bit of figuring out myself. And it's really hard these times to find somebody that's doing the body work, like the aluminium work.
Yeah, that's a whole generation that's gone. We work with
there's one in the book. I've read in his complete story.
Yeah. Robert.
Yeah. He's the guy in Australia that does all the... Oh, he's wicked.
The coach.
I also work with a company, BGI, who make the most amazing film props, and they've done all the old planes for the new Band of Brothers film, all the old World War II, I planes, and all the sheet metal. And they were trying for so long to find someone that could English wheel, because they wanted to do it all out of aluminium work. And it seems to be a skill set that's almost died. And then with that, and again, a lot of the special effects company, Absolute Effects, that I work with, all of their machinery is like slightly older machinery, second hand, because it's better quality. It'd be so easy to go and buy a new Chinese mill or a new Chinese lathe, and then you would get chatter on it, and it's not as well built, and so and that's why I was interested, having someone like that, and certainly for anyone else watching it that wants to say it, I think that's quite crucial. Having someone that really knows machines, because it's a very niche knowledge to know what's the right stuff to buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's also with the story I told before, like the parts that are needed for the lathe, I just had no clue of what I was doing. So I had made certain parts, and they weren't too bad. And then I took them over, and he was asking me like, what tools are you using? That's not the right tool. And so I brought the tools, and he was like, that's weird, but it's cool that you've did it. So then I go back home with the right tools, and I started machining. I was like, okay, this is way better than before.
Yeah.
You need somebody to guide you a bit. It just speeds up the process.
Yeah.
Of course, I would have probably figured out on my own.
But that might have been 5 or 10 years before you figured it out. Yeah. Whereas he's given you years and years of knowledge like that.
Exactly. And that's also with the engine work and the two-stroke. I had like no clue before. My dad knows a lot. He knows a lot. So when I take it apart, and they can just help me. And also with this engine, I don't know anything about what's inside it. But I'm not afraid to take something apart and just look what's in it and how things are working.
And I think that's so important as well, as not being afraid to do that. If the bolt can come out, it can go back in most of the time. Most of the time. So.
But that's just a part of my mindset also. That like, if you can do it yourself, there's always somebody else that in the end can do it. So there is, what's the problem of not trying? Or what's
rather try and fail than
exactly. Just go.
Not try at all. Ace. So when are we going to see the? I'm just intrigued about a friction drive bike now. When do you think we're going to see that? What's the timeline for that?
I really hope that's the next build.
After that one.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I'm just really like, I know I need to like the personal part where we talked about like that's for me also something I really want to work out, just speak to people, because I just know that there are people out there that want to have something like that. But I need to speak to people. Like also doing this, it was something that I wouldn't have done before. So I'm just trying that and just exploring new waters, or like how you want to call it. But and from there on, I think I'm able to like find somebody that wants to to do a commission build, so just pay up front and just start building and in my style and try to do that build.
Yeah.
Because I know when I just have to like completely do that on my own budget, like budget-wise, building a bike, the materials are expensive, but it's mostly time. Because it takes so much time to do something, and then there's a house to pay for. So they won't say like, you don't have to pay for 7 months, just build a bike and then we'll see. That's not happening.
Yeah, you don't phone the bank and I've got this great idea for a bike. Can I just get 6 months off my mortgage?
Exactly. So that's just not happening. So that but I really hope that will be next.
So selling something like that would
open up.
Yeah, it would open up the space. Do you find an attachment to your things though? Like I think if I built something like that, I'd really struggle to sell it.
Yep, quite hard. But that's also another thing that it's not something that I'm learning, but I'm trying to do. Before I had a car restart, it was an old Mercedes, completely restarted with my dad. And I just was standing here next to the house and just getting worse because it wasn't inside. So that's a shame for such a car to have that happening. But I just couldn't sell it. Yeah. So I just wouldn't want to do it just couldn't go. In my mind, it was like, I've built the thing with my dad. I just need to keep the car. And then I discussed it with my dad, and he was like, I'm okay with you selling it. And then I was like, okay, maybe I just need to try it. I've sold the car. The new owner was happy with it. I've seen that, and then it's okay. So it was fine for me. So that's also like, I get attached to some things, but I also know if I wanted to progress this, it needs to go. I can't just keep them all.
Yeah, as nice as that would be.
Exactly. Yeah. The builds that I did before are still in the garage and up there, but it's not possible to do that with everything. Yeah. There will be a point that they also need to go. So that's something that I'm trying to learn and trying to sell some stuff, because I have lots of engines that are just lying there and like, no, but I need to keep them, but it's not needed. Yeah. I don't need the engine, but it's just cool to have. But it just, when the engine goes, there's like a new budget to just progress and things like this. So
keeping that timeline in mind and knowing that you're selling it for a good reason. You're not just selling it to have money sat in the bank. You're selling it for a good reason.
Exactly. You know the person that's buying it's going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Also that, and certainly with something like this, and for those amounts of cash, they really want the product, so they are going. Like they are treating it well, so
And you said you had a bit of interest in chatting to a few people. Was that all through Instagram as well? People finding you through that? Or
those went through Instagram. Yep. Yeah.
Nice. So it is doable. It is doable.
I think it's doable, but I think it's easier to sell something in person.
Yeah.
Like in standing next to it, it's way. The story just that you're able to tell with something is just way better than just through social media.
Well, that's what people are buying as well, aren't they? They're buying you. They're buying
exactly.
They're quite literally, other than raw materials, buying a portion of your life. They're buying a big chunk of your life.
Exactly.
And it just happens to be on wheels, really cool, really fast.
So things like that will probably sell easily in person, but I think it's not unable to do through Instagram. Yep. No. There have been people of interest.
Especially as you build a bigger and bigger name for yourself.
Yep, and you get out there. And when the Instagram is growing, like there will be much more people that are seeing your work, and like the interest will become bigger.
Yeah. So. It'll be interesting to see where you are in 10 years.
I know.
I'm also curious. And that's also the funny thing, but like now there's a build on the table and people are asking themselves like, what will that build be? And I'm like, I also don't know. I just started and it progresses. So it's really, it's hard.
And do you set goals for yourself, or do you set like, listening to a podcast this morning, do you set the 5 or 10 year goal, or is your goal just to be better each time? How do you set those?
Like my goal from the start was to like build bikes like this and trying to sell them. But they need to be commissioned or something like that. And as I've said, I'll have a time span for myself, like, and where I'm able to like do this. And if I fail, then I fail. But I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Then I'll just have to find something else. But the goal right now is trying to get into like I know when there is someone out there that buys this bike, there will be a second one that is also buying a bike. So that's just an okay for me. Like, okay, go and just push through.
Yep.
And the gamble that I took it is quite big. There is quite a big chunk of money invested into it. What I'm doing. But for me, it's like the goal is to sell one bike for a good number and just have like knowing that there are people out there that are wanting to buy my stuff. That's enough for me. And from there on, I will set probably goals that are way too big, but that's something who I am. Yeah. But that's the goal at the moment. I'm just trying to have somebody buy a bike like for a good amount of cash, and from there on, just that's an okay for me that I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Because the time span that I've said is like two and a half to 3 years, and I'm like 1 year in. So there's
that's not a big time span.
Nope, there's a full year on. But yeah, like putting these amounts of numbers of cash into it, like I'm not able to do that for 15 years long. So
no.
Yeah, it's quite a huge gamble. Yeah.
And when you set that 2.5 to 3 years, did you set it knowing that was not a lot of time?
Yep, I know that it's not a lot of time. Good. It's like really short. But it was exactly with the gym that we've opened. A lot of that gym was also built by ourselves. There was quite a lot of money invested. And then also that it needed to run in like 1 or 2 years, like run good. And at the start, it was just only friends coming over. So we needed to like get a bigger community. And then looking back at it, like after 2 years, it ran like we wanted it, and then from there on, just go bigger. And it's also quite a big. I know it's really hard to like get something off the floor like I'm doing in 2 or 3 years. But when there's a pressure like of doing that, that's when I just function best. It's like really weird telling that to people, but
I get it.
When there's a pressure on me. Like when I say for myself, okay, I'll just take 10 years to do this, I know that I'm just going to back off once. There will be some time that I'm like, okay, those 10 years are like way too far behind.
Well, that's exactly why I was asking. You know, it's so easy to set a 10, like we've always worked on 1 year, 2 year plans. We Are Makers was a 5 year plan with sort of two year checkpoints. And I think it's admirable when I really look up to people that can set 10-year goals and not deviate from them. But exactly like you say, it's so easy to be like, that's a 8 year away problem. That's a 7 year away problem. Whereas if you're counting problems in months, it's a lot of pressure. I think you strive off of pressure. I think you quite enjoy pressure, don't you?
I know. Because also the people that are close to me, like they are also experiencing the stress that comes with it. Like they are sometimes like even more stressed than I am. Like when there's a time span, also with the Royal Enfield build, like it's 2 months and I had to figure out everything, and they're like, how are you going to do it?
Yeah, they feel that pressure.
Yeah, but when there is that kind of pressure, I will just live up to it, and I will make sure that it is happening. So,
But do you not think it's the case that yes, it's pressure, but it's your pressure doing something you want to do that you love? That's a lot easier to take that pressure on board, isn't it?
Exactly.
Rather than that sort of pressure, say building bikes for someone else or doing an office job. You know, that's not the kind of pressure that you want. Whereas that would be classed as stress. Whereas the pressure that you're putting on is passion driven, isn't it?
That's exactly true.
Yeah.
Yep. But also like from the stress point, like starting a build. With this one, I just did not know how to do it. I just figured it out along the way. Also with the Royal Enfield, it was like a bit of the same, but there were parts like where I was comfortable with. But the new one that's on the table, there's a lot of like pressure that's fallen off my shoulders because I now knew I am able to produce something. I have to show it. And with like a build like this, in my head, the bike was finished, but there was still a doubt of like, am I able to do something like this? Like in your head, you can imagine all the things and doing all, but it still needs to be done. And that bit of pressure, it feels gone a bit now. Like during the Royal Enfield build, I was building this thing, And then I looked at it like late night, and I was like, okay, I'm doing something right. This is becoming something cool, and people are reacting the same way. So that was already completely different from a build like this, because then at night I would shut off the light, and I was like, I don't know. In the morning I would just continue the process. Yeah. So things are changing quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that pressure it is still there, and I need it. But it is changing. It's not as heavy anymore. Even though I'm getting deeper in it, and there's no way back. Also, like financially, that pressure is still there. But knowing that I can make things, that changes things.
Yeah. Seeing
quite a lot.
Seeing the way people react to it, and it's affirmation, isn't it? It's like the pressure comes off because you've now got go back to the Rolling Sands thing, but you've now got people accrediting that yes, you're making the first step, then the second step. You can see progress being made. So, Kate, we've chatted for a good couple of hours. Kate's usually got a fantastic question to round up the podcast. Do you want to?
If you can answer it. Yeah, what advice would you give your younger self?
What advice? That's a hard one. I think the advice that I would give myself, like the younger self, is I do invest a lot of time in making things. But as I've thought, like also the personal road that needs to be there to show things and to in the future sell things, like invest time into that. And that's something that I'm like last year I've also invested quite a lot of time into myself, like also in like therapy wise, and I'm not afraid of. There was always like the thing of like when it's not going good in your head, and then asking for help is like that's super hard to do. And when you point something out to people that are close to you, they're just like, oh, that will fade away, and you don't need help for that. So just stepping up to the table and just asking for help and just reaching out there and having people help me. That is something that I've probably, when I've had that on way earlier, like that would have helped a lot in making progress, also in making progress for this. So yeah, the biggest advice is like, it is good to invest time into the thing that you're doing, but it's also really good to invest time into yourself, and don't forget yourself.
That's great advice.
And that is something that I'm doing sometimes, but I'm aware of it, so I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's just being aware, isn't it?
Exactly.
Be aware that you do need help, and it's okay to ask for it.
But it's like, and that's the weird thing. But like when we were running the gym, and I was like dropping out of the gym, and then falling into the dark place. And when I told that to people, like they would literally say like, "Look how you look. You are above 100 kilos. You can't feel bad." And I was like,
What's that got to do with that?
Yeah, exactly. It's not linked. Yeah, that's then hard to hear.
They probably see you being very successful, and they're like, "What have you got to worry about?"
Yeah. Exactly.
You're like, "Well, you don't live in my head, so."
Yeah. Exactly that. So yeah. But I'm not afraid anymore to talk about that. In the past, I would have never talked about that, but just open up a bit.
Yeah. Do you think talking about that leaves more space in your head to do this better?
Also, yep.
Yeah. So being able to take care of yourself ultimately means that your product is better. Yeah.
Because when you're getting like, when you start a conversation in your head with yourself, like you're not going to better places.
No.
It's certainly
a one-way street, yeah.
When you don't feel good, you're just going down the drain. So it is like needed to talk to someone, and yeah, that's the part of advice that I would give the my younger self.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah,
brilliant. Well done.
I think we'll finish off on that.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has been brilliant.
Yes.
Just coming and seeing it was a privilege in itself. But coming to talk about it and talk about the future goals is wicked. I wish you all the best of luck, and I've got a funny feeling you're going to make it.
We'll see. I hope.